Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to join our lunchtime masterclass this afternoon. We'll shortly be joined by our speaker, Paul Slattery. But my name is Kathy Timlin, and I am Head of Business Development for Smurfit Executive Development. And firstly, I'm just going to, Paul, if you can move to the next slide. I'll just walk you through a very brief agenda. It'll be just a brief introduction and also then obviously the masterclass which Paul will deliver. We'll have time for Q&A as well just after Paul concludes. We would ask you please to post any questions you might have via the Q&A box, and we'll try to perhaps answer some of those questions in real time, and also have time for some live questions also before we move to closing remarks. Just to give you maybe a little bit of context before I hand over to Paul for the masterclass, we have a brand new, or I suppose, enhanced 3-day program, Executive Presence and Influence, which will be running in a number of weeks. The dates are displayed there, April 27th to 29th. The format is 3 days in person here at Smurfit Executive Development. And there will also be a virtual masterclass delivered 6 weeks post completion of the programme. The fees are €4,250, and there is also a UCD alumni discount available. I've included a QR code there as well if you want to browse further information on the programme. And I suppose the contact person from our own business development team is Suzanne Brady. So I've included Suzanne's email address there, should you wish to get in touch with Suzanne after today's webinar. And we'll also display this at the very end. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Paul. Thank you so much.
Kathy, thank you so much. And everybody, you're very welcome. You're here, and so let's get the journey beginning. And the idea of this session is, I know and have a rough idea why you are here. You're either here because you want to engage more with your staff, with your teams, with external stakeholders. You want to be more structured in your approach, more structured with better methodologies, and executive presence and influence is going to give you new structures and methodologies to deploy no matter where you are, from the boardroom from the classroom, the boardroom to the stage. And above all, you'll want more confidence to be ready to handle tricky situations no matter what situation or conversation, be it one-to-one or one-to-many. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the dimensions of executive presence. There are 3 that research provides for us, and why and how they matter. I'm also going to be talking to you about why not being, well, look, being yourself, it is important. It's not enough. It's just not enough. And we will become your wing mirrors, watching your back on your journey to more effective presence in the marketplace. From there, we're going to talk to you 1 or 2 tools that will inspire action and accelerate your career. I can't give you it all, but along the journey, where we're looking for is for you to come with us to create moments of truth. Because I strongly believe that every moment that you stand in front of somebody is a moment of truth. A moment of truth for you to be yourself, authentic leadership, and for you to understand that there is one ingredient lacking, an attribute that's lacking across global leadership. And research tells us that that ingredient is something that this class will address over the course of the 3 days. As Kathy mentioned, we have 3 days. Then we have a virtual masterclass. But under the current of all of this is technology and coaching and one-to-one experiences with your peers and with us. I know that when you come to this program, what you're looking at the moment is the basics of what is presence. They're called the 3 V's, the verbal, the vocal, and the visual communications. You already do this. What we will bring about is congruency. Congruency means the words you say, the way you say those words, and your body language is aligned. so that your message is believed and it builds trust, and that you inspire others to action. But this is not enough. For you to have executive presence, you need coaches. And I'll be joined by Neil Cody as well as Ilaria Dondero. They have been with me on our MBA program. Apart from me being the program director here at Executive Presence and Influence at UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School, I'm also involved in the MBA. And as well as that, on other elements of our faculty in the MSc as well. So when I bring this program to you, we're not just looking at presence like we were on the previous slide. You're looking at coaching and how we coach and our philosophy. That philosophy is going to bring about a new area within you. And when we're cracking the EP code, it's about you being credibly confident. It's about you being credibly approachable, and it's about you being credibly structured based on values-based leadership communications, leading from a place of core values. Now, the research that backs this up is multiple areas, both with our copyright holders as well as the likes of iSpeak, and also from research done by Harvard. And this here is taken from if you want to use that QR code, you'll be able to download the new rules of executive presence that we will dip into. And this is Sylviane Hewitt's research on the new rules of executive presence, founded on gravitas, communications, and appearance. These elements will be explored in our first unit, which is throughout the journey. We are going to go from exploring your authentic self. And then we move from exploring your authentic self into communicating with clarity. From there, engaging with impact. And then we round it off with persuading with trust. And so let me dip into exploring the authenticity and your authentic self. And this takes us into the first part. It's all about values, the core values, beliefs, and principles that you hold true, and aligning those core values to your executive presence, to your message, to your influence of others. Whether, as I said, it's in the classroom with us, in the boardroom, or if you get that opportunity on stage. The key attribute that's missing in the world is the attribute of courage. And leaders need to be strong in these moments. Strength is required, and we come from a place of core values. Those core values required for you to bring about your authentic self in all situations. So it isn't enough to be yourself. Yes, it is important. It isn't enough. Being yourself requires that you will be given feedback. And we have a methodology that we use through our program that is strengths-based feedback. What you should continue to do, what you're doing well, what you should stop doing. So we tell you on the chin what you've got to stop doing. One, maybe two things that would take you to the next level, and what you can start to do next time. So we're going to walk and talk throughout the program. And there is pre-work that you do that gives us the baseline of where you are, so that we can, one, customize the program right all the way down to coaching you as we walk and talk. Not just with the coaches that are there, Neil and Ilaria and myself, but also your peers within this close alumni group that you will have the involvement with. We move from there into communicating with clarity. In the area of communicating with clarity, we're going to look at what inspiration is all about, the clarity, the words that we say and how we say them. And we will explore the areas of the great research that Amy Cuddy has done about our presence and that presence of being strong. Well, the power posture, which you have said. Then we look at how inspiration comes from Simon Sinek. I mentioned earlier Brené Brown. We're going to look deeply into the latest research that she has done in her book, Strong Ground. And she has said one of those areas of being anchored and aligned and accountable. We're going to look at the way in which courage plays a massive part in your leadership as a skill set. So bringing that authentic self and then moving it into how you say it really matters. The words, your voice, and your body language must be aligned in order that you would be believed and trusted. So we come to today and we're looking at how you're saying and communicating with others. That might be okay for a one-to-one conversation. But as I said earlier, you're here on this webinar today because you want to either be more confident, more engaging, or more structured. That where you are today won't get you to where you want to be in the future. So the as is and to be state. And that means that there's a difference in the marketplace these days if you are called to give a presentation in an organization. Yes, there's way big differences. A presentation is formal. It's their corporate presentations they're in there to inform and persuade. They're targeted at a small group of people. They're professional. They're detailed and specific, and they're functional based. That's a presentation. What about when you're called to go and give a keynote? When you're asked to stand and promote and give the quarterly business update or represent the company? Well, you've got to inspire and engage. And so where you are right now might not get you to where you want to be standing on that stage. So we're going to bring you into the techniques and tools of stage presence. That is executive presence. Your presence, the way you are right now, elevated with leaders-based, values-based leadership communications based on that solid ground of core values. So then when we get into that, we're looking at, well, what is facial expression? Okay, it's simple. What I'm doing right now is facial expression. What do I do with my hands? We're getting into how vocal framing works in the instilling of emotion into others, and then your presence, your authentic presence during the delivery. Engaging with impact requires a lot about where we're going, impacting others and engaging with them to give them a genuine sense of, okay, I'm included. When we talk about corporate storytelling at this point, how you plant your audience in to that story, how you bring them along and inspire them. And we look at this in engaging with impact. But not only that, we look at the structured methodologies we can use coming into the end of day 2 before we move to day 3 of our session. So how you structure is critical. It's the beginning, the middle, and the end. We could say it's simple. And as I was talking to Kathy earlier on, Kathy had said to me about, well, Paul, less is more, LIM. It's at this point that we're stripping out a huge amount of the unnecessary information. And we're using structured methodologies based around your curriculum, based around your delivery, in order that you would inspire action or inform people. So we will explore how you and how we structure effectively. You've all heard this before. It's the essence of be brief, be bright, and be gone. And we will use methodologies that are founded all the way back in the areas of 2,376 years ago. How you appeal to logic, how you appeal to emotion, and how you, when you speak from your heart, open the minds of others. How your content needs to be structured to address those elements as we continue on our way within the structures. During these, you're going to be on camera. Now, yeah, I have my phone here right now, and everybody, when they come to my class, they go, oh, I didn't know we're going to be recorded. You're recording yourself on your own phone. And we are taking those recordings and we're looking at the way in which you bring your authentic self based on your core values to the stage or to the boardroom or to those one-to-one encounters. Lights. We will see that how your smile lights up the room. Your smile lighting up the room, genuinely smiling. Your eyes are the windows of your soul, but they're the camera lens connecting to another person. And then where there's action, we use our hands. So we want to see from a baseline before you come to us, a baseline recording, how you prepare yourself, how you present yourself, and how we, when you come on this program, can make you more confident, credibly confident, more engaging, credibly engaging, and more structured, credibly structured, no matter what situation you find yourself in. And so the final part of our program takes us into persuading with trust. The elements of trust and where we go. The final elements. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is where we're building the elements of understanding why change and how emotions affect both business, our colleagues, our team, the community. How change needs to be influenced by the three power sources. And we'll go into elements of Robert Cialdini. We'll look at elements of Chris Voss, Joe Navarro, and how persuasion influences others in a positive way. We're going into then building those conversational efforts and building conversational trust with others, and those building trust through conversations, both one-to-one, one-to-many. And then we'll explore influential messaging models. And so, very simple, when we come to these situations of building trust and building trust with others, we want to go through those elements of the 4 levels of a relationship. And when you meet an audience for the very first time, and some of you are meeting me for the first time, you get to know me, you get to know my style, they get to know you, they get to know your company. After that, the audience gets to like you. They get to like the way in which you approach them, your team, your product in the marketplace. They get to know you and like your product. They like to like your way of servicing their business. After that, advocate. This word of advocate brings about the element of support, encouragement, endorsement. They start to support you or support your ideas, support your vision. And then after that, we build trust. The building of trust with others goes through these 4 levels. And you're doing it with an audience, with new team members, and with a new employee or senior leader or key stakeholders when you're communicating with them. In order to get there, well, I'm going to give you a free ebook. This free ebook is Phraseology. It's our 2nd most downloaded ebook of all time. It's words to use and avoid in the corporate environment. Highly recommend that you download that book. It's going to give you words to use and avoid, and how we can reframe different words. Words like try, basically, I suppose, meaningless words that lower our credibility when we communicate with others. So please, now you can take that and download that. You have the QR code there. And for those of you looking at this and catch up, you can now see this in the recording. And finally, we go into the 5 elements of the vision narrative. And so you are here. You've come here today. This is where you are, and you have a vision of yourself for the future. We're going to take you on this vision, these 5 elements of a vision map. Yes, there's something getting in your way. Yeah, there is something getting in your way. There is a path that you must follow to get to where you want to get to. And by coming to us today or anything in the future that you might do, you're going to need resources to get there. These are the 5 elements of a vision narrative that you will build at the end of it'll be a capstone moment for you when you come back to us or come to us and join us on our program. Today, I've talked you through these elements of exploring your authentic self. That's the first module. Then we move from there into communicating with clarity, engaging with impact, and then persuading with trust. I did mention also that 6 weeks after the program, we have a virtual executive presence catch up with the entire group. How we apply the tools that you learned, the 4 modules that you go through, and your journey with us, how we apply that into this virtual experience to engage, to inspire, to inform, to update your colleagues and your clients or key stakeholders. So we talked about the 3 dimensions of executive presence. We talked about that element of credibly confident, credibly approachable, and credibly structured or casting your vision. You need to be coached, and coaching is a major element, both within our AI infrastructure. You're going to get the latest access to AI infrastructure that we've been using on our MBA program since November 2022. So we're going into our 4th year of using that. Plus, you can be coached by our experienced team of Ilaria Dondero and Neil Cody. Practical tools. Well, I gave you a portion of, you got to, first of all, know the levels of a relationship with others, the building of the relationship and building trust. You need to watch your weak phraseology and weak words. And so you also need to have that vision map, that 5 narratives of the vision map, vision board that I mentioned earlier on. There we go. I will now open up to any questions. Team, thank you so much for joining. And Kathy.
That's great. Thanks a million, Paul. Some great insights there, and thanks for bringing us through that journey. I suppose one question I'd have is, like, what's the typical profile of people that would come on to do this program?
What we've seen in the past, and we were talking earlier on about the communication executive presence, which has been enhanced to where it is today. We're looking at future leaders, current leaders, C-level, and we've seen a lot of C-level come to the program, and or aspiring C-level, that they're coming into a program and want to develop those skills. That's the profile of what we've seen over the years come in the program, because this is a pre-pandemic that program was. So they were there, managers, leaders of others, aspiring C-level, board, and also owners of companies have been on our program in the past.
That's great. You mentioned about the coaching portal, the AI coaching portal. I'm curious just to understand, I suppose, how that really supports the learning journey.
So when the baseline experience, when we get to baseline, when we're looking at you coming to us, you'll make a part of the prerequisite is that pre-work. You will submit and be given access to the AI infrastructure from the word go. From when you sign up, you have access to it, and it's going to look at your presence. And then you share you share the recording back with us, only a minute, 90 seconds of a recording. And you're going to get some amazing insights into what we talked about earlier. The words to use and avoid in the corporate environment is pre-programmed into the AI, as well as our own structured methodologies. So you're going to gain direct access into words to use and avoid, some suggestions on what you can do. You share it back with us, how your pace variation and framing, vocal framing, has an impact on others. And then we give you feedback. So that AI infrastructure allows you access before you even start, gives us an insight into who you are. Then we're able to customize our program, our approach, and how we coach you and the areas you want to get from the program. And then from there, we're using it throughout the 3 days, plus during that break that you have, the 6 weeks, you have access to it and beyond. So you'll have access to the AI infrastructure for a period of time after the program. So it's every time I use it, I've looked at it. If you're doing an internal stakeholder meeting, you can put a role play is ready to go for that. So we've different role plays already in there, and I constantly get shocked. There's recordings of me seriously being totally shocked at what the AI was coming back with, and very, very powerful. But we're using AI in the learner's environment. It's not the silver bullet. It's not the bullseye. it's the dartboard. It's giving us good feedback.
Yeah. There's just a related question to that has come in from one of the attendees there. She's asked whether it's like those pre-recorded interviews that employers do, in the AI. In America, she was suggesting that she was directed to its site to upload, video answering questions. So I don't know if that's if it's similar to
No,
that.
we're not doing that. We have done this in the past where for specific programs, but not in this case. We're looking at your presence as a rubric. We've built the rubric. The structured methodology that we have is built around your presence. So, and
That's
not quizzing you on different things, but if you want to, we can turn it on, but
great.
not in this case.
Yeah.
Later on, we'll look at adding those elements in. So
Mm.
not on this case.
Yeah, and I guess just one final point is, I guess there's probably between 18 to 24 participants. So maybe just to touch on maybe the peer learning experience as well that will happen within the classroom as part of
When
the
we
program.
yeah, when we look at the peer learning, we're taking look, feedback is a blessing. Feedback is 99% opinion, 1% truth. And the truth is on the camera. The camera never lies. And so the peer feedback, you're going to be working in triads. You're going to be working in small groups. You're going to be working on your own, and you're going to be presenting to a subgroup and a whole group. So we're going to take you all the way through those different levels, if you will, peer to peer. Then we move into triad. Then we move into team, subgroup, and then the whole room over a period of time. And so that feedback, we have the methodology and we're coaching others on strengths-based feedback and how strengths-based feedback instills even more strength in the coachee and the coacher. So that feedback methodology is
Really
given from the
important.
very start and we use it ourselves. So
Great.
that's the highest level. We're doing live coaching in subgroups. And then the plenary sent, when we get there, you're getting feedback and you're giving feedback on how the audience feels. And then when you upload those recordings into the AI infrastructure, we're giving even more feedback, and the AI is giving you in a different way you can approach, and we can build in different areas of critique, and then you share it back with us. We're giving you feedback. So you then after this you're getting one-to-one time in the virtual sense with us. You have that element of being directly contacted even after through the AI infrastructure. Your presence will be observed by us and we're still coaching you.
Great. And a couple more questions there, Paul. Is storytelling part of the training?
From the beginning, the middle, and the end. As I'm trying to, yes, Steven Spielberg said, stories have a beginning, a middle, and a never ending. From the minute you walk into our class, we're straight into corporate storytelling, meaning you're starting to co-create the order of your future self, meaning your presence the way it is at the moment. We're looking at how we can enhance that using your own core values, enhance you to where you want to get to. And so corporate storytelling starts off subtly on day one, a deep diving day two, and then we end with the vision story. And we've moved into the need, the plan, and the way. The need, the plan, the way, which is the story architecture I shared at the end, excluding some of the elements for copyright purposes. But I gave you the narrative. There's 5 narratives that have to be built in corporate storytelling. Simple, beginning, the middle, never ending. So stories are elements that the AI infrastructure is looking for, how you communicate in the story structure as well. So that is correct. Storytelling is there, and we'll be exploring the art of storytelling on day 2, but we start with stories on day 1.
Brilliant. And one of the attendees just asked to hear the 3 dimensions of executive presence once again.
One more time.
One more time.
Yeah. So when we're looking at executive presence, the 3 dimensions, I'll bring it up on screen. let me just see it one more time. Yeah, the 3 dimensions. Well, credibly confident. Confident is first. Confidence. The next one is approachable. We're thinking about approachability, your approachability in communicating. And then structure. Structured communications. You will become more aware of how your perception is not our reality, how perception plays its part, and how communications, throughout your communications, how you communicate with others in the sense of awareness of your existing strengths. Then we're into that area of approachability and then structure. It aligns with Sylviane Hewitt's research in executive presence. And it's based also on the area when we talked about earlier with Solid Ground and Brene Brown. So we'll be exploring that art as well throughout the experience. Yeah.
Great. Well,
so day 1, day 2, day 3. There's 4 modules covered throughout.
That's right. Yeah. That's great. And if you
the
want
3 dimensions of executive presence, yes, and the downloadable, I see Caroline was looking for that there, Caroline O'Shea. So
yeah, brilliant. Yeah. And if you just want to maybe reshare, Paul, that final slide as well, just with the program information, if anybody
certainly will
missed that at the very beginning, just to remind people of the program dates in April 27th and 29th. And to please get in touch with Suzanne if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about the program. Today's session will be recorded and will be shared post-webinar. So we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. And a huge thank you to you, Paul. Really insightful and gives us a really good flavour of what this program is about and what people will gain from it.
Thank you again, Kathy. Thank you, Suzanne. And nice time. They have time now to go and have a real break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Team, take care.
Thank you so much.